Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session. I hope you're having a good summit. Today, I will be talking about data estate modernization, where I'll touch upon how we are helping our customers move their legacies like EDW, ETL, reporting, Hadoop, to platforms like Databricks. My name is Sachneet, and I lead the solutions architecture team at Impetus. Quickly about Impetus, where we are actually powering the intelligent enterprise. We are the thought leaders in data, cloud, and Gen AI. We have a global presence. We are catering to 30 plus Fortune 100 customers. We are elite partners with Databricks. And we don't just provide the services, we partner in success for our customers. This is our portfolio of the solutions and the services we provide, using which we are able to deliver an intelligent enterprise, starting with data and cloud platform engineering, where we take care of everything from architectural consultancy, creating a cloud strategy, data strategy, and then taking care of an end-to-end development cycle. It's not just services that we provide. We've also built certain accelerator solutions, as we call them. Solutions like a data platform accelerator that jumpstarts creating a data platform for a customer, or maybe a cloud cost optimizer for a customer who wants to optimize their costs on the cloud. So we have built certain solutions and products as well in that space. Then there is data workloads and app modernization, which I will be touching upon today, which is essentially around customers who really want to modernize their legacies to Databricks platform. Should they do that manually, or is there an accelerated and reliable way to do that? I will be speaking about that today. But then whenever you speak about a cloud strategy or a data strategy, it is not just about modernization. You have also take care of DevOps, CI/CD, making sure that you have the right governance in place. You're looking at the Gen AI, Gen BI services are next, right? So after you do the modernization, how do you leverage and tap onto that data to move to the next level of advanced data analytics, or maybe Gen AI and Gen BI? So I will be also touching upon that. How are we enabling the Gen AI space for our customers by ensuring that we are doing a reliable modernization for them. We have a very strong partnership with Databricks. We are the elite partner. We have won the Migration Partner of the Year for 3 consecutive years now. So that's a testament of the strong partnership as well as the value that we've been delivering to our customers. This year, we have actually won the Enterprise Data Warehouse Partner of the Year, again a testament to the good work we have delivered to our customers, joint customers in partnership with Databricks. Now let's first start with, how do we start with a data ecosystem modernization so that you're ready for the Gen AI era? First, a survey that speaks about how the market is, right? We have seen that 90% of the leaders prioritize the cloud modernization, moving their legacies, because you may be running your EDWs and ETLs for the last 20 years, 25 years. There's a lot of business logic contained there. There's a lot of data there. So you want to tap onto that. So which means that the first step you need to take is ensuring that you have a reliable and accelerated modernization, migration of all that business logic, all that data to Databricks platform. And then 84% of the leaders see that the legacy modernization will really accelerate their step into the Gen AI space or the Gen BI space. And 39% of the leaders cite security, data governance, and technical complexity as the roadblocks to doing a reliable and accelerated migration, right? So you also need to look at the business as usual, and there are some more challenges that I'll speak to on the next slide. Now, before we start with any modernization, and I'm speaking of modernizing an EDW that's running for 20 years, 25 years. I'm referring to an ETL that's been there for 2 decades, right? So before you start with a modernization, you have to answer a few questions, and these are the questions, repetitive questions we get from our customers. The first one is, what do you do about the decades of investment? You're moving to the cloud. The EDWs and the ETLs that you've been using had different characteristics. They had different features. The code that was written on them was built for them, Now, if you're moving to a new platform that's, let's say, Databricks, you cannot do a lift and shift, right? So do you start from scratch, or is there a way to preserve the business logic, but at the same time, take it to the cloud platform? So that's the question number one. The second one is, while you do that, right, do you take everything as is? Because then it will be garbage in, garbage out, right? Something that was written for Teradata may not be the right fit for Databricks. But then do you re-architect everything, which is going to have its own pros and cons? The third one is, how big is this effort, right? Before you start on a modernization of an EDW that's 2 decades old, right? You need to know how much time it's going to take, how much effort you have to put in, and how much money you have to put in, right? So that's another question. The fourth one, which is equally important, is while you're doing the modernization, what happens to the business as usual, right? You cannot disrupt the business as usual. So how do you make sure that you're mitigating the risks to the business as usual while you modernize? Now, we help answer all those questions before we start with any modernization. And the way we do that is, we take the first step where we define the right migration strategy. And we have seen, of our 10 years of experience of modernization, that a 80-10-10 rule is a good rule to follow, which means that 80% of your business logic can be transformed using a pattern-based approach to the Databricks platform, which means we will preserve your business logic, but we'll actually transform the way it was written on your EDWs or ETLs while we migrate. At the same time, there would be certain gaps, architectural gaps, feature gaps between both those platforms, which cannot be really transformed as is, which means we will have to do certain re-architecture or re-engineering to that. An example would be if you're using cursors on Oracle, right? You don't have cursors on Databricks, so how do you take care of that? Another example could be that if you're running an ETL, which could be, let's say, a data stage or Informatica, you're actually using native components there, right? So those native components were native to Informatica. They don't exist on Databricks. So how do you take care of transforming the business logic from an Informatica or data stage to the Databricks platform? So we take an 80-10-10 rule where we are able to transform the existing business logic, preserving it as is through a pattern-based or modernization, and then we do 10% of re-engineering and we do 10% of re-architecture. Does this rule apply as is to every customer? No, but this is a fair rule to follow and start with. The other questions that I spoke about, right? Do you do this as is? How much of effort is this? What happens to business as usual? Is taken care by our 4-step methodology that you see on the slide right now. On the left-hand side, you'll see some of the popular EDW, ETLs that we support today, which we are able to migrate in an automated fashion to the Databricks platform. I'm speaking about the EDWs like Teradata, Oracle, SQL servers of the world. On the ETL side, I'm speaking about Informatica, Data Stage Ab Initio, or it could be a Hadoop platform, it could be SAS, it could be Alteryx. Anything that exists today on the legacy side, on the left-hand side, we could actually move that in an automated fashion to the Databricks platform. And we do that through a 4-step methodology that you see in the middle. We start with an assessment where we essentially, using our tool, we are able to assess your legacy. The tool is able to extract out certain very important insights. For example, the volumetrics, the complexity of the business logic that exists, but very importantly, what is the technical debt? The technical debt could be the dead code that exists today that is no more used, or it could be the complex code. The complexity may exist because you've been updating it, putting layers onto it, but there's a more simpler way to do it, right? So while we look at it, and since we are modernizing, we would like to take care of all that technical debt. The other part is the dependency analysis. We are talking about an EDW, an ETL, then consumed by a BI tool. What would it take to do that migration? Because we want to look at dependencies across all the 3 layers, the ETL, the EDW, and the BI layer. So we are able to do that as well. As part of the assessment, which is typically 2 to 4 weeks, we are actually able to answer all those 4 questions that I had on the other slide, which is, how big is the effort? How much effort needs to be put out? What would be our strategy? Would we re-architect, or can we move some of that as is? what would happen to business as usual and how would we mitigate those risks. And the good part is that the confidence that we get from our assessment, we are actually able to do the modernization in a fixed bid, fixed timeline manner, which would mean that we would tell the customer that we would take you to the Databricks platform, modernize everything within, let's say, 6 months of time and X dollars, and we are doing that fixed bid. If we don't do that, we will bear the costs, right? So that's the kind of proposal we are able to put in front of the customer with the confidence we get from the assessment. The second step is transformation, where the tool is able to do automated transformation, which means the tool is able to convert or transform the Informatica ETLs, the Teradata BTICs, the Oracle stored procedures to Databricks platform, which is the PySpark code or the Spark code with 95% of automation. Whatever is left is being taken care by the Impetus services team. So what gets delivered to the customer is anyway 100% transformed code. At the same time, we do a very comprehensive data validation, business logic validation, and finally we operationalize it for the customer, making sure that we are not just converting the code, but we are productionizing it for them and making sure their SLAs are either met or we beat those SLAs. This slide actually talks about the details of the 4-step methodology. I've already spoken about this. Now, what is the advantage? The advantage compared to any tooling or manual efforts, it's 4x faster, 2x lower cost, 1.5x faster validation, because validation is very important, and validation of data as well as business logic. And overall, when you look at it, comparing it to any manual effort that anybody may be estimating, we are at least 2x less of that effort. With our solution accelerator and methodology, we deliver the modernization with 100% success rate. Till now, we have actually modernized around 100 million lines of code. We have done over 200 plus migrations with 100% success rate. With 95% of automation, we are actually able to accelerate all of that. And overall, if you look at the timelines, the go-to-market, we have been able to reduce at least 75% of the timeline, the modernization timeline for our customers. Let's quickly look at one of the case studies. A leading data analytics company, they were actually looking to migrate their SaaS workloads. They had around 1.8 million lines of code. They were looking at modernizing that manually, but they were looking at a 2 to 3 years of effort. They really wanted to move to the Databricks platform to tap onto the benefits and also move to the new use cases. This is where we were able to bring a lot of value to them. The first one was anyway helping them plan better through a very detailed assessment. The second one was with a lot of automation that we bring, we were able to shorten their timelines for the modernization, and then we were actually able to also deliver them a very optimal code that was very manageable for them so that they can actually now take it forward and do advanced analytics over that data as well as the business logic that was migrated. Now let's look at what are some of the insights that are extracted using an assessment. So what you see on the slide is a snapshot of a sample assessment of a Teradata and Informatica being moved to a Databricks platform. So you will see some numbers, right? I'll start with the numbers around, how many number of files exist there. So we do all these volumetrics. So what we'll do is, if we are assessing Teradata, we'll look at what all files exist, what all SQLs exist, how many queries exist, how many BTICs exist, how many stored procedures exist. And at the same time, we'll also do a complexity categorization for them, telling that, let's say, if you have 1,000 stored procedures, only, let's say, 10% of them are complex, rest everything is simple. This also helps us come up with a strategy where we tell them that we don't need any re-architecture, we don't need any re-engineering. We will be able to transform all the business logic to a Databricks platform with a 95% of automation or maybe more. This is an example of how a complex query is analyzed, and the tool tells us what is the complexity categorization of that. We are actually able to do that for each and every piece of business logic that exists on an EDW or ETL today. So everything is fact-based, everything is data point-based. This is one of the examples where we come up with the optimization recommendations. Apart from the schema optimizations that we will do on Databricks, we also come up with the analysis that, hey, a process is taking 5 hours on Teradata because you're running everything sequential and there's a lot of complexity in the code. First, we will simplify the complexity in the code. Second, we will also analyze and propose that since we are moving to a more elastic and scalable platform, maybe we can run a few things in parallel because there's no business logic dependency. We're actually able to do all that analysis and make those recommendations. This is an example of a lineage that we capture. Now, from an ETL to an EDW to a BI platform, we will actually plot the complete lineage, which helps. For example, the customer tells us, hey, can you migrate the sales application for me first? That helps me forecast the sales. We will identify for that application or for those reports to be migrated to Databricks platform, what are the tables that need migration. For those tables, what are the ETL jobs that need to be migrated. So this is where this lineage really helps, and the tool is actually able to capture all that in an automated fashion. Now, once we have done the assessment, we have put out the technical debt findings, we have put out the recommendations around a wave-wise migration plan, we have finalized the target architecture. Now it's time to actually do the transformation. This is an example of how we create an end-to-end migration pipeline for anything like Teradata and Informatica. For example, the migration step will take care of migrating all the schemas and the data from Teradata to Databricks. The transform step will take care of migrating all the business logic, which could be stored procedures, SQLs, shell scripts, BTIC scripts from Teradata to Databricks platform. At the same time, the transform step will take care of migrating all the Informatica ETLs from all the business logic content to the Databricks platform. Then we run 2 validation steps. One validation is for each and every data point. The second validation point, the validation step is for the business logic, where we ensure that all the transformed business logic, when run on Databricks, is it actually generating the expected results or not? And this is all automated, where the tool is able to run all these validation pipelines and generate results. How does the transformation look like? This is an example of the original query from Teradata, what it looked like. So this was an update query. The tool has been able to auto-transform it into a merge query on Databricks. And this is a very standardized, very optimized code, which the tool is able to generate, and we can just easily import into Databricks notebooks and execute it there. This is an example of what a daily data validation looks like. So the data validation can be as granular as cell-by-cell validation, which would mean that we will validate each and every cell of data in an automated fashion. But there are different other options. For example, we could do a query-based validation, which means we will run a query and compare the results between Teradata and Databricks and ensure that the transformed logic is generating the expected results. Now, how do we compare to the traditional tools that are available in the market? This is a summary of the value that we bring to all those traditional tools. We take care of end-to-end modernization, starting with assessment to the operationalization. We take the risk, we guarantee it in a fixed bid, fixed timeline. We are able to identify technical debt that no other tool is able to do. We are actually able to deliver up to 95% of automation that none other tool is able to do. And then we guarantee the SLAs. We beat or meet the SLAs from the legacy to the new tool. So there are a lot of value add that we deliver compared to any traditional tool that's available in the market. What's next? We have a booth number F603. We would love to have a more deep dive conversation around any modernization that you're looking for, or in case you would like to view a detailed end-to-end demo to see how the assessment is executed, how the transformation is executed. We'll love to show you a demo and also maybe deep dive into any of your modernization needs. I thank you for your time, and please enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you.